Ellis, as always, appreciate the time. Big news is Odell Beckham Jr. tears his ACL. He's out for the year. Who is it that you look for to step up for the Browns to give them that passing attack?
Yeah, Dave, nice to be back. Been a minute, and we got a lot to talk about. So, yeah, the whole Odell Beckham Jr. thing. This has been tough, and the conversation this week floating around the Browns seems like, are the Browns better without Odell Beckham Jr.? And I wrote about it earlier in the week. I think these are two separate questions. Can Baker Mayfield play better without Odell Beckham Jr.? Yes. Is the Browns offense necessarily better without Odell Beckham Jr.? Probably not. There's a ceiling there. So now Baker's faced with building off that Bengals game where we saw him be confident in the pocket, not under pressure, and distribute the ball. 4 different pass catchers caught touchdowns, of his 5 touchdowns, 2 to Bryant and then a running back, a receiver. Pretty impressive way to distribute the football there. And the first guy we got to look at to step up is Rashard Higgins. He had his first 100-plus yard game on Sunday. There's an undeniable chemistry there, and he's going to be a guy that now looks like has the opportunity to finally build upon that chemistry he's had with Baker this entire time. For whatever reason, him and Freddie Kitchens didn't get along last year, and Kevin Stefanski, again, for whatever reason, was going with players like Kaderl Hodge and Donovan Peoples-Jones rather than Higgins. But now it looks like Higgins has a chance to step up. So I think it'll start with him. I'm curious to see what Hodge does. He's a kind of a complete package who we don't know a lot about yet. He can get vertical. You can trust him in the intermediate game. He may be a threat taking jet motion handoffs. And then I think it's an increased sample size or volume for Jarvis Landry. And he is going to probably see shades of Jarvis Landry from 2008. Browns fans can expect that. And we'll see if Donovan Peoples-Jones can build upon his game-winning touchdown. So a lot of unknown, but I think this will help Baker in terms of distributing and reading the field better. But I am worried about the ceiling now of this Browns offense without Odell Beckham.
The other thing that comes to mind with Higgins is even with, you go to when Greg Williams was the interim coach, he made plays. When Freddie Kitchens put him on the field, he caught a touchdown pass in his first game where he wasn't a healthy scratch. He had a touchdown catch when they finally got to him this year, and he had a huge game when given the opportunity. It's just kind of a head scratcher. It really seems like Baker Mayfield has confidence with him and that Higgins knows where to be for that security blanket that Baker Mayfield needs.
Yeah, and in addition to that, he also is just a playmaker. When the moments are brightest, he comes and makes these big catches. You mentioned what happened last year. He caught that game winner versus Buffalo. I believe he had 1 catch, and it was the game-winning touchdown. And then that grab he had to set up the Donovan Peoples-Jones score, that's a catch of the year candidate. And I don't think nationally enough people are talking about that. That's as professional and as difficult a catch as you'll see in this league. The way he opened his hips up, high pointed the ball, pirouetted his left shoulder around, and then leaves the ground and completes the catch. The ball doesn't bounce away from his body or anything like that. It was spectacular. And it's starting to seem like Higgins is just a playtime maker. He just goes out there, and when you need something, he can get it. And those type of guys don't necessarily show up in practice. And maybe that's what was going on with Kevin Stefanski and this Browns offense and this regime at first. But some guys just run a little faster than their 40 shows when they get those pads on and the fourth quarter starts. And some guys just know how to go make plays, get open, and secure the catch. And right now, that's Higgins for this offense. And it's going to be really fun to see him finally get this opportunity and perhaps level up in the way that, say, a guy like Wyatt Teller has this year. I use that term level up, where you can't predict when players are going to take that next step. For Teller, it was the combination of a running game, an offensive line coach and Bill Callahan, and probably a really nice offseason of work from him that brought the right guard, being a question mark for the Browns, to a strength. And now possibly that could be happening with Rashard Higgins. He could level up and become that sort of go-to receiver in big moments that the Browns are desperately going to need now.